Welcome, everyone. This is the Successful Stylist Academy podcast, where we are on a mission to empower salons and hairstylists to dream big, set goals, and take action. We are here to help you each step of the way at successfulstylistacademy.com. Well. Welcome back, everyone, to another fun-filled episode of the Successful Stylist Academy podcast. I'm your host, Ambrosia Carey, the founder of Successful Stylist Academy podcast and business. And today I have one of my special girlfriends. This is actually a very near and dear podcast to me and episode because I got to wrangle my good girlfriend, Alicia Soulier, to my, I just want to hear more about her business. So just to give you guys a little bit of a background, Alicia is an award-winning stylist to entrepreneur. She dedicated over 16 years to the business industry as the owner and creative director of Capelli Salon Studio for over 10 years. And then she noticed a leak in her business that was directly affecting her bottom line. The color bar, dun, dun, dun. Without the proper technology to account for the cost of hair color, many color sessions were walking out the door unpaid for. So the discovery led to the creation of SalonScale, an advanced hair salon back bar software that has now earned Alicia the title of tech founder into her portfolio. So welcome, Alicia, with open arms. Thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast.
Yay! Well, I'm so excited, Ambrosia. It's just always nice to chat with you, and I'm so excited to talk to your audience as well.
Awesome. Well, I look up to Alicia. I mean, ever since I met you years ago, I love what you're doing for the industry. I love how your brain works. You're super creative, but you're also very business savvy, and you're just a get stuff done kind of gal too. So it just really resonates with me on so many levels. I'm glad that you and I don't live in the same city because we probably would never get anything done. I know that whenever we talk, we just get each other so excited that we end up like we just kind of like keep going to the next thing. But I kind of want to get a little bit intimate with you. I want you to tell us a little bit about how were you actually able to transform SalonScale from that idea to a device? Because that's impressive in itself. The fact that you're like, this needs to happen. Oh my gosh. And then go. And then you actually made it happen. Like, tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I was like every other salon owner out there that, I struggled with many things, and a lot of it was because I was uh, a creative hairstylist that just wanted to provide, a place for other hairstylists to thrive in. And then I got like thrown into like, you have to understand your business. And I had to learn, the world of business behind the chair. And through that discovery, I was like in a process. Actually, this is the story, is like I was going through a process of renovating the salon. And as I was renovating it, I went and got like paint from a local place that like kind of mixed it by the machine. And then I went over and got ice cream that day, and they charged me by weight. And it was in this moment that I was like, holy shit, like this is what actually is wrong with my business. And it was that we aren't charging by weight. We aren't separating our parts from labor. And so honestly, Ambrosia, I've said this before, and anyone that has heard the story, you might hear it again. But like I jumped as fast as I freaking could. Like I jumped so fast because I knew that all we need was an update in technology. We just needed a simple, maybe an app that could like work with Bluetooth that could tell us the cost in real time. And I know that sounds really simple. Like, and now I talk about that, I'm like, oh yeah, I just like slept on it. And the next day, haha, there we go. Um, it wasn't that easy, I promise you that. But in that moment, and if I can unpack that, how that felt, I had this burning desire that if there was anything that I needed to leave my mark on in this world, it was that. And it felt like the moment that you were ready to jump off like a major cliff and go like parasailing for the first time or cliff jumping for the first time. Like I literally was like, you need to jump and trust that the industry will catch you. Like anyone will listen to this message and they will catch you and you will be fine. And I jumped as fast as I could and learned the world of technology and learned how to build this company out one step at a time. And now it's been 3 years and I'm definitely not, I didn't fall and die off the hill. So we're good.
You did not die. I mean, if anything, you've just like excelled beyond, I think, most people's wildest dreams. I think you're paving the way for the tech world. You're paving the way for our industry for sure. Like when I discovered this and I met you, I was it blew my mind. I was like, why? It's something I personally had never thought of before, but year in and year out, I would adjust prices and I would look at, obviously the bottom line and say, like, well, okay, how can we cover this? Because we always know that newer stylists are going to overmix or they're going to mismix and then they're going to end up throwing stuff down the drain. And there was always that like weird shuffle that we had to do where it's like, how do we make sure that our costs are being covered? And we still want to make sure that everyone's making their wage. And we also don't want to outprice ourselves with our clients, but we need to make sure that we're charging it fair. And so you did it in such a simple way. And you came up with a solution to a problem that I think people didn't even realize was a problem. I'm talking to people today and they still don't even understand. They don't realize the problem that they actually have in order to have the solution. So I love that you've come up with a solution to a burning problem that's forever going. It's that leak in that ship. It's a huge leak. So I mean, I'm kind of curious, like even just moving the scale, like even really just talking about the scale itself, like what do you tell others who are afraid of their numbers or like maybe they don't even know their numbers? I think a lot of people are like, I'm not really sure, and so what do you do for that? I mean, how do you help people through that?
I mean, I think the problem is really admitting that there's a problem in the first place. And I think so many people in the industry, when they click and they connect, they're at a moment of despair. So they've either lost like three of their stylists, or they're now independent on their own. They're still not making money, and they're in this moment of desperation. That transparency and like the need to make a change is right staring them in the face. And so when I look at that person compared to someone who's still curious, or I don't need that, or out of sight, out of mind, basically what I find is that person is so afraid of being caught like they don't know anything about their business. Like our industry is built off insecurities, and like we're standing, all of us are standing behind our chairs in fear that we're going to one day get caught, like we have no clue what the hell we're doing. And it's just like such a ingrained fear that I feel like unpacking that I knew was the real thing that was going to take me a lot longer. So the way that we went and started to sell SalonScale was about storytelling and breaking down the barriers so that we could say that this is a safe place to talk about things that we may not know yet, but we're going to make the tools and help you. Like we're going to help you get through it, you know? And it was such a different way of selling software. Like most of the times software is sold, in such a like an ad style, or like, paired with a brand, and it's like, here's the software you need for this. Like it's so technical. But for us, we are one of the fastest behavioral changing softwares for the salon industry that's ever come around. And I think it's because it's centralized is around a place that feels safe, and that place is the color bar. And that color bar is like where people feel safe to explore, safe for expression, safe to think about who they want to be in this world. And so when you introduce technology there, that's why it was so important for us to really be like, how do we make sure people feel comfortable so that when they do make this decision, we're not disrupting things and making them feel like small, but we're making them feel empowered. So long-winded, I think it's just a long way of saying that, like to make impact in the salon world, especially with software, and when you're making changes and you're doing all this stuff, you have to have empathy and compassion for who's using your product. And then for anyone listening right now, is that is who you will find with SalonScale. Like that's what you're going to find, is that even if you don't know yet, there is a slew of people, including Ambrosia, that is like everyone's bleeding to help you, like because we've been there. And so the faster you can get to a moment of not desperation but enhancement, you think of it like, how can I enhance my career, not like how do I get to like the moment of despair. I think you jump into that feeling and get the right coach and the right equipment, and your dreams and your goals are endless.
Oh my gosh, this is like the best answer to every question on the planet. I feel like that was the best answer ever. Like, thank you. I feel like good night. I mean, that resonates with me so hard. And I completely agree with you. I think sometimes people want to overthink what the actual problem is, that they focus so hard on the problem rather than just being in solution orientation and being able to I think even just make a relationship with the right kind of people, and to be able to be transparent and vulnerable enough to talk about those kinds of things because there's nothing embarrassing about that. Business is always and forever changing. And not only that, I mean, actually, that leads to my next question. I should just go into that next question before I go on a tangent because I tend to do that. What are some of the biggest shifts that you have seen personally? Like, what have you seen happening in the industry since the launch of SalonScale? Like, I know a lot of stuff has happened outside of that, but just even within the family of SalonScale, what have you seen happening within the industry that's changed?
I think the biggest thing is I'm starting to see a lot more transparency in the industry. So we're starting to see things where people would cover up information start to be a lot more transparent with the information. So a lot more collaboration, transparency. But we always talk about like the birth of the independent, era and whatnot. And I was like, man, like we are past birthing and we're now in like total adoption right now. So we're seeing a mass adoption rate to really this new model, which is an independent movement. And it's strong because the one thing I have to say is we've prayed for this as an industry is to be taken seriously, right? And so what I'm noticing is that we are now going from the most misinformed to the most informed. And what that means is like we have like a sea of educated stylists now that are their business literacy and their financial literacy are getting like they're getting more and more out of it every single day because of this transparency and because more people are saying, here's how I price, or here's how I do this, or here's how I can help. So that's a big thing that I'm seeing, and it's we're seeing it in the numbers. I'm seeing it in the software where a lot of these salons, when they would be in a position of failing, they're now thriving. The second thing is the models are changing. So what we're seeing is we're not seeing like people like run out and like the death of the commission salon. Like I've heard people like be like, this is what's going to happen. No, no, no. But what we're seeing is the commission strongs are strengthening. They're strengthening their communication. So they're getting stronger and there's a place for everyone. But instead of having a lot of in-betweeners, we're having just a little bit more understanding of what these models are. So I haven't seen much transition other than empowerment. And I'm seeing a lot of people start to learn about what it takes to really run business behind their chair and not be as scared to really look into those things. um, and then the other thing too, is I was going to say is I'm seeing a huge new model be created, the co-op model, which is a blend of both of them. So I'm seeing these new salons where they're not quite wanting to be in a suite rental, but they're also not wanting a full commission. But there's a group of them that get together and they're starting to create these co-op blends where they share overhead and then they still have a place for new talent to kind of come in. So I would just say that like the landscape of salons is changing dramatically, and in 5 years from now, when you like think about it, what we look at in 5 years will be completely vastly different than we are right now. And we're starting to see people be finally okay and not control stylists, but more so enable them to take on the journey that's best for them. So we're going to see a lot of fragmentation and a lot of people that are independently successful, but how they plug and play into other businesses is definitely what I'm starting to see.
Oh, 100%. And even just the desire to understand the business side of things. I mean, for the longest time, business was one of those things that people just wanted to sweep under a rug and just put in a dark room because they didn't want to talk about it. It just wasn't sexy. And it was like, it was more about the excitement of, the change. But now it's the change that is causing the excitement toward the business side of things. So I've personally seen that flip happen, and I've personally seen a drive for other people to really want to take control of that, and not just take control of it, but to empower other people surrounding it. And so then it became like a catalyst for it. So I love that. I mean, it has created like a perfect storm, but also like a huge desire and need for people to be able to understand their numbers, which I think is obviously what SalonScale is providing to people. And I can firsthand say, when I'm using the scale personally in the salon, because I'm still taking clients in the salon, when I'm personally using that scale and I'm getting on the app, I'm seeing updates that are constantly happening, just like with my iPhone. I'm like, what is this? Oh my gosh. I could totally I could voice record my notes now. Like, what? This wasn't enough. It's like, this is so cool. So I love that there's constant, like, you've got a pretty amazing tech team, I have to say. And you guys, obviously, when you have a beating heart and a pulse behind the scale itself that understands our industry so well, you're able to kind of go at it from that angle. But my favorite part about what you're doing is that you're passing the torch and you're giving a spotlight to other people in the industry and letting them come up with solutions before the problems come back to you guys. So that's huge. That in itself is worth its weight in gold. And it's also worth for you, all of you guys listening, you need to get on the SalonScale train. Like there's no reason now for you not to have it. There really isn't. I mean, if you can go out to dinner at anywhere at all on the weekend and treat yourself, then please treat your business too, because it will allow you to treat yourself more. And it just is simply going to help you.
I was also going to be like, choo choo, all aboard. But
All aboard.
or like we can help you manage your money for sure. But you know what, also too, on that note about like the team, when we developed like the next stage, which was like, how do we take our customers feedback, how do we take that and then loop it in, oh my god, it was the most empowering thing. Because also, side note too, which is going off, but 72% of our staff is female, and most tech companies, that is like the complete opposite stat. So most of them are male dominated, and only like less than 6% of tech companies today are ran by a female. So like I think that's something that's like one of our values, is that like we really listen to our consumers and we have more of an empathetic approach when it comes to building software, and our design and how you experience our product. But we'll get a feedback from a client, like a client will be like, oh, I wish I had this, and then it's so amazing to watch them build that out, execute it, and then ship it. Like it's so amazing to see that kind of connection. I think it's really great. And then also to see people that are not originally from the salon industry want to make it a difference for the salon industry. So they're really bought into the vision of why we do what we do, and I think it's just a really cool atmosphere to be a part of. And I say like, yeah, I just love this team so much.
And just even giving a platform for anyone who is in the industry that wants to kind of grow beyond what it is they're doing today, it provides more opportunities. So I love that you are such a female founded and led industry, or sorry, you're a female founded and led device, but you're also providing that for other women in the industry as well. So that's important. So thank you for letting us know that. That's huge. And then so that's a business side of things. Like if we were to kind of like separate you as a business owner into your own personal life, how has Salon Scale impacted your life personally?
I, like anyone, have my ups and downs. This, entrepreneurial roller coaster definitely takes a toll on your life, and I do know I've lost years of my life that I will never get back. It's just kind of how it is. And I think it's amplified, right? Like, I think I've had some of the most hardest days of my life, and I think it was because a part of the person you're going to be in the future, you have to shed parts of the past you to be able to make room for that. And I guess I just wasn't ready to do it at such a fast paced scale. And then, when you publicly put yourself out there as being able to be that face to like continue to show up as that person, when you kind of descale, when you come back to your environments, your home life and your friends life, like everyone starts to treat you in a different way. And like I also think it's funny because everyone just like assumes like, oh my god, you know you know family even will just like, you have all these, you're doing all these things, and like it's just like you get, sometimes you just want to escape that, but it's like you can't really, you don't have a break. It's kind of difficult. um and then I just definitely have had moments where I questioned, why I chose to like overlap things all at the same time, which I think a lot of us, especially mother entrepreneurs and business owners, have that same thing where it's like really difficult to have. I have two small kids. Like for those that don't know this, I have two very small kids, an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they mean the world to me. And as they are learning the life of an entrepreneur, being around mom, but it's also very painful that like when they fall down, they ask for my mom. They don't necessarily ask for me right away, right? And it's like those little moments that you're like, holy shit. Like I hope that this doesn't scar them or change them. Um, but I look at the impact that I want to make in my life and the milestones and the, like, I guess like we always say, the legacy that you want to leave behind. And so yeah, I try not to be too hard on myself, and I try to make sure that the moments I have with them, that they're impactful. So choosing to focus on the impact instead of the time is like the only thing that got me through a lot of the hardest times.
Oh man, that I feel like that is also a message that is going to be extremely relatable to anybody who is trying to build something and feels pulled, different directions, and especially mom to mom, entrepreneur to entrepreneur, it is a journey that is a constant moving scale. It really is. I mean, not to use the word scale too much, like I feel like everything's scalable here. But it is. I mean, you have to weigh and measure it. You have to keep reassessing and checking in and deciding like what can I give, what can I take, and it's hard. And then it's like, and then there's you as a person, like you are a person that needs to have your time too. And it's so hard because when we divvy that time up, then we kind of bleed that time dry. There's only so much time left in the day. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I find myself, even when I'm like nodding off to sleep, I am like forcing myself to stay awake because that's my only time that I get to myself. And it's almost like I'm losing sleep, and I know that's not healthy. And so then I do this whole like guilt thing back and forth too, where like, okay, I got to get sleep. That's important. I really do. But this is the only time I could do this right now. And I'm really into it and I really want to. So it's just like, I love that you are human and just speak to that piece because it's rough. And I think I know that for women, it is harder. There's just simply we're gonna always feel torn. We're gonna always feel like we're not doing enough for our kids. We're always gonna feel like that guilt, And so I love that you are making this mission about something else, and it's not about you. It's about the impact that you're able to make for everyone else in the industry.
That's why, like, again, it's so important to look at the impact, because you have to look at your life as like your life, you're on a treadmill. It's never going to stop. It doesn't stop. And so what happens is we do this thing where we're like, I'll get this done and then I'll go there. Like, you can't just hop off a treadmill and hop on another one. It's never going to stop. So you need to learn how to incorporate a lot of those things. And then when you're sitting there and you're comparing yourself to someone else that's on like 10 level 10 on their treadmill, it's like, of course you're gonna like have the comparisons like the thief of joy. So you're gonna be joyless, barely walking on your own treadmill. And like, that's just, you have to like, what impact can I make so I can feel joy on my own life, my own mission, and focus on the things that make the sense to me. And if you do that, and if you assess that as much as you can, like, you're going to wake up and like you're going to take one more step and one more step and realize that like it's just balancing all those things while they consistently go all at the same time.
And that's also why they say it takes a village. I mean, it really takes a village. And thank God for family and thank God for people that, all believe in us and the mission. And, what you're doing though is making such a huge impact. It's making such a huge imprint in our industry. And it is forever changing things. And you're coming up, like I've already said this, but coming up with those solutions before the problem really has become like a huge, huge problem. And I know a lot of people that have had to close their doors. And if they had something like SalonScale, something that simple that could have helped them at least cover their overhead, man, what a big change. I mean, what that could have done for their business, and it would have changed the way that their business were run. And, they may not have had to close their doors, or it could have gone differently for them. So, um, and going into that, I actually like hopping back into the business side of things. What advice do you have for those who are wanting to implement SalonScale? Because this is a big question that people ask of me. And I feel like it's such a simple answer, but I want to hear from your side. Like, what advice do you have for those who are like, I kind of want to implement it, but how do I start?
All right, so let's get locked and loaded here on this question.
Locked and loaded.
Locked and loaded. Okay, so the very first thing is, it's like, you are the only thing that's going to get in the way of making this happen. And the way that you implement SalonScale and your excitement, your team's going to be excited if you have a team. If you're excited, then you're an independent stylist, your customers are going to be excited, right? And so if you try to, when you go through implementing SalonScale, you try to educate yourself in the best way possible. So really understand, what am I doing now currently, and how can SalonScale make a difference for my business? And if you focus on just those things, like what could it do, and do this in a small setting, be like, let me see what it does in a week. then I can start to be like, wow, in 1 week, I got, $700 back into my account. This is a no brainer. Like, it just makes like, it makes sense, right? And I think sometimes we just kind of overcomplicate it. So you got to get your mindset right to be like, this is the day that I'm going to commit. I'm going to like try this out, and this is what I'm going to do with it. The other thing too is there's two other things. So if you are an independent stylist, the second most important thing that you're going to think about is, how do I tell my customers this? Right. So this is equally, if you're a salon owner, the second one is going to be like, okay, this is awesome, but how the hell am I going to tell customers? Like, basically, I would say, we've brought on this new innovative technology called SalonScale. We're not going to charge you any more. We're only going to charge you for the exact amount of color used on your hair today. So when you say that, it's like, awesome. You're going to charge me by gram, by ounce. That's awesome. Because you know what? Let's just be honest. On your websites and on your menus, when you have that little plus button, that's not a very clear message to your customer. So like, there's no difference in saying we're adding a salon scale or a plus button. Like, that's all, it's an ish, right? Where now with salon scale, and also little, I'm going to launch something new to you guys. But basically, what's launching here in the next couple weeks is, we're going to tell you the exact average cost per bowl that you do personally yourself. So whether you work for yourself or you work in a salon, it's going to tell you that number. So instead of saying that plus button, we now can give you that number to say, like, on average in your salon, the average cost per session is $14.22. So now instead of having that 100 plus, we can say on average it's about 14.22. So now when customers are there, you're being more transparent and you're saying, look, it's probably going to cost about $115 for that service. And that will fluctuate based on the trends, because we all know that that's going to change. And that's why we need that number to fluctuate based off current trends and not just a flat fee. So you got the first breakdown of that coming up. So that's really exciting. And the last one too is talking to your staff. So you are a commission-based salon, or any salon owner with staff, or you have a new talent working for you. This is going to be the hardest. This is the hardest, because you ever, right? When you're dealing with someone's wallet, it's so hard to explain it. So I just say, empower yourself with as many of those facts, right? To say that SalonScale is not doing anything to you, it's doing everything for you. And so with this software, we're now going to be able to make sure that you're charging exactly your worth, and make sure that nothing walks out unpaid for, and to make sure that we are pricing your services properly. We want to see our world. We want to plant the seeds in the next generation, and quite frankly, you're the next generation. So I'm thankful you're taking this journey on, and I'm thankful that we're taking on technology that's only going to make our world a lot better. So these are the ways that I would like communicate that to a stylist inside a business as well. And then lastly, I'm just going to say, implementing anything is hard. But I promise you this, and I mean, it's so hard when you know you have a software that can completely change someone's life. Like, it's very hard to know that I could literally write a check for $40,000 to the average, 6-chair salon. Like, literally be like, here's 40 grand this year. Do you want that? And so many people are like, maybe now is not right. Maybe this. And it's like, oh my goodness. Like, it's so hard when you know you could just give someone cash. Like, our software is not just a monthly expense that like costs you money. Our software makes you it puts money in your pocket. Like, it's not something that's an expense. It actually helps you with manages your cash flow. So I just say, if you're listening to this is not an extra sell, but this is just something to say, like, put yourself first. Don't worry about being insecure about your numbers. Don't worry about like, well, maybe if this happens, or I was already made some changes, or I did a price increase. Like, this is something you can't afford not to do. You can't afford not to do it. And when economy changes so much, and every year inflation comes and you're not tracking that, eventually all those margins are going to squeeze you right out. And that's why we want to make sure that you have the tools to be able to focus on the thing you love, and let the math be done by a software. Let the data drive your business so that you can focus on your consumers.
Boom shakalaka. Guys, I've been in the industry for over 20 years. I will tell you right now, I mean, I've been a six-figure stylist for a majority of my career. I mean, we're talking like high production, high dollars. And when I started implementing SalonScale into my business, I couldn't believe it. I was blown away. I mean, that's the reason why I'm now working with SalonScale, because I'm like, I need to understand more of this. I need to understand human psychology. I need to understand, like, how can I get more people to get, because if I were to have learned this, like, I mean, even if you take half of my life away, not life, half of my life in the industry away. Like, don't take that away, but like half of my time in the industry. Like, oh my gosh, I could have worked smarter, not harder. I mean, there's so many other things that I could have done instead of doing that burn and turn, burn and turn. I mean, you guys, I mean, I was like, oh my God, I had 5 chairs going with 3 assistants. And I know that's kind of an old school model. Some people like to do it, but the thing is that I was working harder, not smarter. I mean, that's the long of the short. It's just, or is it that the short of the long? That's the short of the long. Yes. So yeah, it just take our words for it, take our experience, take our knowledge. This is definitely a no fluff thing. That's the reason why I needed you, Alicia. I needed you to come up here and tell everyone like what it is behind you, because I think sometimes people have a misconception or they don't really understand what it is that SalonScale is doing for them. And they really think it's literally just weighing something, but it's like, that's the beginning of it. And this quote, I'm taking this quote and I'm making a bumper sticker out of it. It's not doing anything to you, it's doing everything for you. Oh,
Yes.
good. So good. So, so good. Thank you so much. So, okay, can you let everyone know, please? Just pass on a little bit of information. Where can everyone find out more about SalonScale and how can people get started?
So I think the first thing is to head right to our website, so salonscale.com. And there is information on every single page, from pricing to, some testimonials and anything that's kind of based on there. And then if you're like an action taker, you want to get started, there is a sign up that you can sign up right away on that. If you want to dive into our social, that's where we have a little bit more bite-sized education. And that's at SalonScale. That's where all our handles are. And then I really also encourage to look at like things like, what is customers that tag us? Like, go and look at like the tag or the hashtag SalonScale, and look at where people have tagged us, because these are real life people that, I can't, like, I'm not making them say anything. And so when they do share their actual raw, oh my God, it's amazing. And it's I from one post of them sharing their scale, getting ready to take their business to another level, it means so much to us. So every time people tag and do that, it just makes us feel so like we're doing something right. So yeah, our website and any handle at SalonScale, that's how we can help get you started today.
And to make things easier, it's going to all be in our show notes, guys. So I made this really easy. Just scroll down and click that link and I'll take you right there. So, Alicia, thank you so much. Thank you for being here today. I'm sure everyone got a lot out of it. I feel like I even got more out of it. And I've known of SalonScale for a long time, but your energy is contagious. I love that you took out your time for today to be with us. And I can't wait for more people to just to discover SalonScale for the first time and have a huge aha, just like I did myself. So thank you everyone for joining, and make sure you hang out with us next week, because Drea is going to be lighting you guys on fire with our next episode 16. So I'll see you guys on the flip side, and have a great night.